James Gunn and Zack Snyder in one frame? My brain is already directing the ultimate DCU crossover, and if this isn't a tease, I'm suing for damage. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Please like, share and subscribe for more. That's right. When I saw James Gunn post an adorable photo with the one and only Zack Snyder, my mind was working overtime to come up with a logical conclusion as to what was going on. And while their cute little photo could be nothing more than, well, a photo, I sure hope it has something to do with a certain project in James Gunn's roster. James Gunn woke up today and decided, let's break the internet. The filmmaker has been in the business for a few years now, and after giving his fans one of the best superhero franchises of all time, Guardians of the Galaxy, he is now all set to take our breaths away with the upcoming Superman starring David Corenswet. However, today, he was probably in the mood to steer the conversations away from Superman and toward an unlikely duo, him and Zack Snyder. Stating how it's always a pleasure to meet Snyder, he called him a consummate filmmaker and a doubly consummate storyteller. Two separate universes have collided in real life after James Gunn posted a photo with the former DC director Zack Snyder. Not only were the two geniuses all smiles for the camera, but Gunn also had some pleasant words for the fellow filmmaker anyway. Coming to what this meetup could mean for DCU's future, I wholeheartedly hope that Gunn and Snyder combine their forces for the upcoming The Authority, which is a part of the superhero universe's Gods and Monsters chapter. Of course, Snyder's excellence is not unknown to the world, but the praise coming from Gunn just hits differently. While Snyder was once criticized for his dark and gritty take on superheroes in films like Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, it is exactly what The Authority demands. Now, is this wishful thinking? Yeah, probably. But you cannot tell me that the two powerhouses won't kill it as the director-writer duo for the film. I wouldn't hear it. Think about it. The Authority isn't your average, goody two-shoes superhero team. They are brutal, morally gray, and they get things done. As Gunn once said, it doesn't matter if they have to kill people or change governments, they're gonna do what it takes to make a change in the world, via Collider. And if you take a moment to think about it, there isn't a better duo than Snyder and Gunn to bring this team to life. Snyder's signature aesthetic, dark, gritty, and unapologetically intense, combined with Gunn's writing style that adds raw emotional weight to a story, is everything The Authority could need. The film was a remake of George A. Romero's namesake original, which was released all the way back in 1978. It stars Sarah Polley, Jake Weber, and more, and is a story about a group of survivors trying to make it through a zombie apocalypse while trapped in a shopping mall. Can't go wrong with classic zombie survival stories. While some of you may not even know that the two filmmakers have previously collaborated on a project, surprise, surprise, it's true. Back in 2004, Snyder made his feature directorial debut with the action horror Dawn of the Dead. Coming to the collaboration, it was actually Gunn who came up with the screenplay of the film, making it the first and last time the two collaborated on something. While remakes often fail to impress the critics, Dawn of the Dead actually did pretty well for itself, earning a 77% score on Rotten Tomatoes with a critical consensus calling it a kinetic, violent, and surprisingly worthy remake of George Romero's horror classic that pays homage to the original while working on its own terms. It has been 21 years since Dawn of the Dead was released, and I honestly believe that it is time Gunn and Snyder just join hands and give fans what they're looking for, the ultimate collaboration. The existence of Zack Snyder's unfiltered epic vision of Justice League was only made possible due to the fans, and Snyder bows down to them. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Please like, share and subscribe for more. As a tireless campaign spread through social media like a plague, DCU fans hounded Warner Brothers for years before the studio finally conceded to fan demand. The resulting Snyder's cut with an extended 4-hour-long vision of the director's ambitious story made the fans resent WB even more for rejecting his planned 5-movie arc for Justice League. However, the director knows when not to push his luck in the ever-changing game of Hollywood musical chairs, although Snyder gives credit where it is due. The DC Extended Universe has had its fair share of problems. But the most objectionable of them was Zack Snyder's third film, Justice League, which went through hell and back to reach the audience in its purest, uncensored form. As difficult as it may have been for Snyder and the studio to find common ground, it would not have been possible without the DCU fans. The little details that stood out in the theatrical cut of the film sent a wave of dissent and anger throughout the world as fans took to social media to launch a movement titled #ReleaseTheSnyderCut. The campaign became so powerful over the years that it led to the now infamous WB shakedown in 2021 in a historic win for movie fans. In 2023, Rolling Stones uncovered a Warner Media report that revealed that the online fan campaign was bolstered by fake bot accounts that later turned dangerous, insofar as to send death threats to studio executives if they failed to greenlight the Snyder's cut and restore his film universe. However, in Snyder's eyes, the existence of the bot accounts told a different story altogether. Making a 100-year-old studio bow down to fan demand is not a meager achievement. The collective love for the DC Extended Universe was such that it made the fans absolutely livid to think about missing out on Zack Snyder's raw vision for his movie universe after he left the Justice League production due to a family tragedy. Meanwhile, Warner Brothers quickly arranged for a replacement who oversaw the post-production and editing of the film, although most of it was already done by Snyder before his exit. But Joss Whedon's PG-washed cut of the film was an atrocity that did not deserve a place in the grim-dark reality of the DCU, and the studio should have foreseen the drastic difference in Whedon's and Snyder's filmmaking styles. A 2023 interview with The Hollywood Reporter. When asked about the toxic campaign of the Snyderverse Legion and the eventual cyber harassment and threats made against Warner Brothers personnel, the director claimed, although not an entirely suitable method of handling rejection, the DCU fans did everything in their power to stand up to studio censorship and the oppression of creativity. The fans and their online social media campaign turned Zack Snyder's Justice League into a reality, and despite not having the final 2 movies of the director's Envision saga, the DCU is a little better for having the director's cut in the bag. However, when it comes to the fan movement that turned toxic in Snyder's favor, the director has little to say, let alone criticize his fans for standing up in his favor and saving his film from studio politics. The truth is, it doesn't matter. The movie got made. If they were smart enough to employ bots in this thing, then they won. That movie has no business existing, and it does. I'm not going to comment on the details of whether they are good or bad, whether they are toxic or bullying. That's in every chat room. It's what comes with the internet. But I do know that the work they did on some level was good. I can say for a fact that they did good. That is undeniable. The overwhelming fan pressure from the campaign and the volatile in-house climate at Warner Brothers was documented in Sean O'Connell's book, Release the Snyder Cut, the crazy true story behind the fight that saved Zack Snyder's Justice League. The fan-led fight is still regarded as one of the biggest movements that has ever swept over social media. If there's one work Zack Snyder continues to be proud of, it's this zombie apocalypse movie that no one expected to become a successful cult classic. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Please like, share and subscribe for more. This May, Netflix offers new shows to keep subscribers entertained throughout the month, and one of the titles added to its library is Zack Snyder's 2004 horror flick Dawn of the Dead. Those who haven't watched this classic, consider this your sign. Zack Snyder is quite the controversial filmmaker of modern cinema. We're familiar with his stylized approach to movies, and he's made a brand of that for himself,